About 3 o'clock this morning, a whole bunch of the Bless Your Heart movement folks got together and went to Teespring. That's the place that you go to get the t-shirts and the mugs and the masks and all that. And they filed false copyright infringement claims on the Dixie flag, on the rebel flag, in order to get them to shut down the storefront that I had selling them. And they were selling like wildfire. In less than 2 days, over 100 masks got sold. Those of you who have those masks, if Teespring doesn't honor my counterclaim, basically stating that no one can copyright the rebel flag, it's public domain, you're going to have some collector's items. You are going to have some incredibly rare collector's items. Now, you know what I find ironic? For nearly 2 years, I made videos at this channel trying to illuminate the difference between democratic socialism in Venezuela and Washington, D.C.'s version of socialism. D.C. operates inside a capitalist system. They then overtax the rich, take that money, then give it to the poor, while demonizing the rich to buy votes. Down here, it's just something as simple as saying the mineral wealth of the country belongs to everyone. We're going to use it for the benefit of everyone. Now, I was called names, I was laughed at, I was castigated, I had people writing paragraphs about why I was so wrong. Even though Venezuela had been doing that to finance their country since the 20s, people still said Chavez this and Maduro that. Chavez wasn't even born when Venezuela instituted democratic socialism to finance their country. Here's the crazy part. You ready for this? I practiced capitalism for 18 days, 19 now. I put my first mask out on the 1st of July. And for the last 19 days, I have been now castigated for being a capitalist, for attempting to sell something for a modest profit by the same people that were yelling at me for trying to explain what was going on in Venezuela. It is hilarious. They want to sing the praises of capitalism and how wonderful it is and how great it is. Never said there was any real problem with it. But then when it actually starts to be in practice in their sphere, they hate it. So, anyway, these remaining masks, the 5 here in the Dixieland Rising store, the wearing this mask under protest, Trump 2020, make liberals cry again, White Lives Matter, proudly part of the problem. This mask is why in November I'm voting Trump. And the anonymously deplorable, who knows how much longer they have left. So, if you want one of these, I can't promise how much longer they're going to be able to be bought at any price, anywhere, ever. So, this is now not something that can be an option. Many people have said, why have you flipped? Why have you changed your mind? In 2016, we had 4 options. Ideally, right now, if we had a viable libertarian candidate, I would say vote for them. But right now, with the defund movement coming, there's no choice. If you are for a law and order society, if you are for a civilized society, one where when things go bad, you can pick up the phone and call the police, call 911, call emergency services, and they'll come and they'll arrive. If you're for that, if you want that, you can't possibly vote for anyone else. I am a one-issue voter this election. One issue only. Everything else, forget about it. It's meaningless to me. We cannot allow anyone who is even part of a group that has this in their mind to have any kind of power anywhere. So, This is proof of it. This is absolutely proof of it. That this was so much of a threat to them that they had to go lie and make up whatever story they could to stop it. We need your help. I'm just going to put it out there. We need your help. Those trying to get Trump reelected need your help. We need you to put aside your personal discomfort for a moment. For 3 months. Can you do that? Because t-shirts are one thing. Hats are another. But this puts it right up in their face. And you're needed. You're absolutely needed. I'm not going to try to sugarcoat it. You see, this happened before. What we're looking at in this country, see, it's going to be 2021 soon. And I would like to remind folks of 2010, 2011. You see, back then it was called the Arab Spring. In this country, we're going to have the African Spring. And trust me on this one, had it been me sitting in the Oval Office, we would have turned Cairo into a sheet of glass over this issue. For those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, what this woman had to endure, no human being should ever have to in their entire life. It was horrific. This is Lara Logan. It was absolutely one of the most frightening, terrible, horrible things to happen to anyone. And what's going on in this country right now, based on what happens in November, if the election doesn't go the right way, we're going to see the African Spring in North America, just like the Arab Spring 10 years ago. And you're going to see events like this over and over again. This woman has been demonized. She has been castigated because she woke up. She realized exactly what happened, because when it happened to her, the mainstream media tamped it down. The mainstream media sugarcoated it. They made it as if it wasn't that big of a deal what happened to her. And they hid the story because they had an agenda back then. And she actually has released an article that's absolutely correct. Lara Logan claims polls aren't capturing rebellion against political control caused by a pandemic. This is what people are not seeing. This is what the polls aren't seeing. That there's going to be this incredible backlash against criminality, against criminals feeling like they just have free day recess to act however they want to. And make no mistake, it's happening. You see, there's two ways to measure crime. Reported crime or people being arrested for crimes. This is a game a lot of politicians like to play, especially de Blasio in New York. See, because arrests are down and there's fewer people in prison, he takes that as a sign of lower crime, when crime is actually skyrocketing. They just aren't arresting anyone and putting them in prison for crime. And that's what's really happening around the country, and it's starting to tick up. The African Spring, so to speak, is coming. U.S. prison population dropped 8% just in the last 5 months. And this is exactly, literally exactly verbatim what I said 2 years ago would happen. I did 6 videos on this using this exact same map. That if you are going to be someplace, don't be out in the middle. I would not want to be anywhere out in the middle right now, going into fall, going into winter, because those security forces, those police forces, those 911 services, they're going to be overtaxed. They're already at their limit, being able to handle just the basic demand. I know people think places like Florida and Texas and California are overpopulated and overrun. Trust me. Florida, so glad I'm here. So glad I'm here and have a governor like Ron DeSantis we can be proud of that's saying we're not rolling back. We're going to open up and we're going to act like adults. And we're just going to deal with it as it rolls. We're not going to hide under our beds with Anderson Cooper and Dana Perino like we did in March and April. We're just going to have to suck it up and go to work. And yeah, people are going to probably die. We're not going to wait on a vaccine. We're not going to try herd immunity. We're not going to social distance forever. We're not going to handcuff business. We're going to get back to normal life. Everybody else who's trying to roll everything back, it's like the kid who's sick and doesn't want to go to school and tries to milk it for, an extra day or two. Can't allow that. You see, if this wasn't an election year, this would be handled totally differently. If this wasn't an election year, this would have been handled totally differently. But mark my words, there will be an African Spring if we don't take control of this election and we don't re-elect Donald Trump. And it will be any vote other than Donald Trump. It will be a vote for anarchy, a vote for African culture. And if you like it so much, go visit Africa, because that is where Egypt is, by the way. Just to be very clear, those of the Arab Spring was all the north of Africa right here. That's the values they want in this country. Prison rules. Law of the jungle. And that's just fact. They've even said it. BLM has even said it. That's what they want. So, when you see me, say please buy a mask and wear this the next 3 months. There's a reason behind it, a very serious reason behind it. It's not submission. It's concern. This one right here is actually the #1 seller. It was the first or second one I did. And many, many of you, hundreds of you, have stepped up and bought multiple copies of this. And I appreciate it more than what you know. But it's not about the money. That they couldn't tolerate this, that they had to go cook up lies about this, shows where they're at. They don't want law and order. They don't want civility. They don't want justice. They want no one around so that, like they did to me at 3 o'clock in the morning, with no cameras rolling, they can go commit their crimes and be assured that the police aren't going to show up. This is what it's really about. Do you have a wife? Do you have a grandmother? Do you have a daughter? Do you have a sister? Do you have an aunt? Do you want them to go to bed at night wondering? Just that simple. It's a one-issue voting cycle this time. And I'll leave it there. Like, share, subscribe.